All right, web design. So we're just going to go through a REPL website, um, for following what you learned on Code Academy. So Code Academy, you started to learn about semantic HTML, and so in HTML, oftentimes you can use divs. A div block is just kind of chunks elements together and kind of makes blocks like this. And we use that so that we can set an ID to that div, and then we can style it in a certain way. And we might have a divider or a div for like the heading, and then a divider for the main content, and a divider for the footer. It helps us to chunk our page together and manage all those pieces of the website. The semantic HTML tags were put in there to basically do the same thing. And since these are used so often, like a header, like this body part of it, we have a footer, they made semantic tags to kind of make sense of the structure of your page. And so you already went through this. We're going to practice it a little bit and create some stuff from this. All right, so what I want you to do, if you haven't yet, I want you to make a fork or a copy of the REPL that I have on Canvas, and we're gonna start. So the first thing I want you to do, first of all, we have a style sheet in there. Remember that the body tag is where all of our content goes. So we're gonna start by creating a navigation bar. So let's go ahead and hit nav. And inside there, we're going to create so I'm going to do this. I'm going to hit nav, and then we're going to end the navigation. Because usually on a website, there is some navigation on the top. So in between here is going to be the navigation. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so that if you're watching this on a small screen, it might be easier to see. So let me make this bigger. Okay. So now we have navigation. Inside of there, this is going to be the top of our page, and we're going to put in some links. So we're going to create a unordered list. So when I go in, I'm going to hit tab to indent in, and I'm going to make an unordered list. So I'm going to put UL, and I'm going to end the UL down here. In fact, sometimes it's easy just to do that. There's my UL, there's my unordered list, and inside here, I'm going to create list items. So I'm going to put LI, and so I have a list item, and I'm going to create a couple of those. So you can see that you have a list item and then an end list item, and I'm going to create 3 of those because we're going to create a web page. This website that we're going to create, I'm going to choose to do it on The Office. So I want you to choose a television series or something that you like to watch. Or if you don't watch a lot of TV, then maybe a favorite book or a favorite movie or something like that. You can do the same thing that I'm doing if you want, but make sure you use different pictures and different videos and different things like that. But I would encourage you to just choose something that you like. And try to keep in the theme of like favorite, show to watch or movie to watch or something like that. So I'm going to have on here navigation, and the first thing is going to be a home. We're going to have a home button, we're going to have a media button, and then we're going to have an about button. Inside of this list, I'm actually going to create a link. So I'm going to make an anchor tag. And remember, with an anchor tag, we're going to put in the source right here. And I'm going to put nothing in there for now. I'm going to label it as this first one as home, and then I'm going to end that anchor tag. So right here, I have basically a link or like a button at the top of my page that's going to be titled as home. And I'm going to do that a few times here. So I'm going to put another link up here and another link right here. And the second one's going to be, let's make this media. And the third one is going to be about. All right, so that's going to give us a navigation on the top. if we run that, I'm going to go ahead and click on run, and then I'm going to expand this out so we can see it. Now we have a header with 3 links, unordered links. You might be asking yourself, where did this styling come in? Why is it blue and spaced out, kind of nice? We didn't do anything. Again, that's our next thing in the CSS file. If you look at the CSS file, which will happen next week, we'll get into it, but some of the stuff, again, is going to be pretty self-explanatory. You can change around these values. You can see that this UL right here, or this unordered list, it has this styling right here. It has a background color of this blue color that you could change, and it has all these other features that that you'll learn later. So if you ever want to take a look at that styling, just go to the CSS file and you can change things up. All right. So what we'll do now is, again, just kind of talk about the different pieces of that semantic HTML that you saw in Code Academy. So one thing that we could put in there is a header. So I'm going to put a header here, and I'm going to close the header. It's actually a little bit better if you just do it on one line and then you hit enter, because then it'll space it out nicely. The header is really just like the top portion of your page. You could actually also put the navigation bar inside of the header if you wanted to. Doesn't really matter. In this case, I'm just gonna put in my header is gonna be is just a title, and I'm just gonna say The Office, because that's the show that I chose. And I'll put an H1 in there. Again, just choose something that you want to write about and put it in there. So there's my header. I'm really not going to put anything else besides that right now. I'm going to go on to the next section, which is main. So we talked about this in Code Academy, the main section. So I'm going to put a start and an end. And really this is just going to be a chunk that contains basically the main content of my page. Some of these things you don't need, and some of them are going to be helpful. But we're going to go through all of these, or most of them, just to review what they are. So inside main, we're going to create a section. So I'm going to say create a section, and that ID, I'm going to create an ID for this, and I'm going to name it home. Okay, and you'll see why later. I'm also going to end this section right away. So I'm going to end the section, and then I'm going to go in between there and hit enter. So now I know that I have a section that's kind of my home section of the page. Or we might change that title a little bit later. But let's say in this section we create an article. So I'm going to create an article start and an article end. And inside of that article, okay, let's put in some text there. We're just going to put a paragraph. So I'm going to put a paragraph that starts and a paragraph that ends. And then inside there, I'm just going to put some office text. So it's okay if you want to grab some text from the internet. I'm just going to Wikipedia something. So I'm going to Wikipedia The Office, and I've already gone there. And you could certainly just write about your TV series. I'm just so I can have some content in there. I'm just going to take this from the first paragraph from Wikipedia. I'm going to copy that, and I'm just going to put some stuff in here. So I'm going to paste it. So now I have basically a paragraph that just starts talking about The Office. You could certainly write up whatever you want inside there. Now, typically, if we were going to produce something and we are taking it from another source, we certainly would put in references there that this is from Wikipedia or whatnot. The point of this exercise is just to learn about the pieces of this HTML, so we're not going to go into that. But now if we look at our updated thing, All right, so now I have my header and I have basically just a paragraph with content in it. Notice we kind of did all that work, and there really is, we made a section, we made main, we created, but when it comes down to it, the only real thing in there is we have a heading and we have a paragraph. That's really it. So the markup that we're doing doesn't necessarily show up like when we create this section and article, but it helps us structure the different chunks of things on the screen, and it will become useful later on too if our website gets a little bit bigger. Okay, so I have a home section with a paragraph in there, and then we talked about maybe having a picture in there. So let's put a picture in there. Typically, we would just inside of this section, we could just put an image in there, and that can certainly work, right? We can definitely put an image tag in there. The thing that we learned in Code Academy was a figure. So I'm gonna try that out. So underneath this article, or the end of this article tag, I'm gonna put in a figure, right? And again, if you forget what any of this stuff is, go to your W3 schools. Okay, what is a figure tag? Figure element is used to mark up a photo in a document, and you can use Figcaption along with it. You can see here this example. If I try it myself, really you can see the image right here, right? You can see the image thing that we typically do to make an image, but we're using figure to kind of wrap around it and create some meaning around that, because again, that can be used for different screen readers, different accessibility. It can provide us more meaning or data about this image that we're kind of wrapping around it. So again, feel free to use W3 schools and read up on it if you kind of don't know exactly what it is used for. Okay. All right. So let's throw it in there. So we have a figure. Inside of that figure, I'm going to go ahead and put in an image. So I want you to do the same. You're going to create an image tag with a source of, I'm going to put that as empty right now. Image tags are self-contained, so I can go ahead and just do that. But I do need to put something in there. So I'm going to go to Google Image Search. And I'm going to type in the Office cast as something. Now, one thing you can do in here is if you want a really large image, okay, you probably have done this before. You go to Tools and you can select your size to be a large image so you don't get a really small image on there. And I'm just going to pick one of these. So I'm just going to pick this one. How's that one? And what I would do here is I'm just going to basically copy the source here. I'm going to right click this and hit copy image address. Don't hit copy link address, hit copy image address if you do that. And then we're going to go back into our HTML and I'm going to put that source and I'm going to paste in that source. You can see it goes to this website and it goes to this JPEG image. So I have that now. All right, so if I run that, or I go ahead and check this, now I have an image there. And depending on, if you look at your CSS and you look at image, like your IMG here, you can see that there is some styling along with this image, and you can adjust this image tag right here. If I wanted to make this smaller for whatever reason, I could hit 300 pixels for the width, and if I go back to my thing, now it's at 300 pixels, and but I'm gonna keep it at the 800. All right, so I have an image there, and what I want to do is I'm gonna put in a Figcaption as well because we didn't do that. So below this image, I'm going to put in what we call a Figcaption caption. It's just going to caption that figure that we already have there. And so in Figcaption, well, let me end it first. I'm going to put Figcaption. And then inside here, you can write something about the image that, or about the figure that you're putting in there. So here is the cast of the Office TV series, and that'd be a Figcaption. Again, you can see this is all kind of interconnected, that we have one figure here, and this Figcaption is describing this overall figure, and then inside of it we have the source of the figure that we're trying to show. So it's kind of all contained in this one blob right here, from the top, the opening figure tag to the end figure tag. So if we look at this now, you can see that we have a picture, and then you have a little caption here that is connected to that image. Okay, so that's how we use figure. And we're going to end this section right here. So we're going to say this is from this section right here. This is the home section. From there all the way to here. And now we're going to put in a new section. So we're going to create a media section. So let's say we go, let's make a new section. This time we're going to ID this as media. And I'm going to end the section right away, just so I have the end, and then I'm going to hit enter. And now inside of this section of my website, I'm just going to put in everything that is media, some photos, some pictures, some video, some audio, and what have you. So, all right, so inside of this section that we're going to do, this media, we're going to have photos and videos. So I'm going to create just H2 and put in photos and videos. And then inside there we can put in like a paragraph tab, or we can write in some stuff. So here are some pictures and videos of one of my favorite TV series. And that'll be good. End that paragraph. And then, so there's different ways. In Codecademy, I think you use the video tag. Also, you looked at the embed tag. So we're gonna do we're gonna embed a video here. So with embed, we can go here and type in embed, and we can take a source from like YouTube, let's say. It needs a source attribute, so we're going to type in src, and we can put in a source there. We just have to find the source of the video. So I'm just going to go and search YouTube. So if I just go to youtube.com, and I'll just search The Office. I'm just going to grab a video here. So let's just say I take the best of the pranks, The Office. And so, all right, so let's say I want to use this and embed it into my webpage. Now, YouTube already has a feature for this. If you click on share, you can see that you can post it to social media, but you can also use the embed tag, HTML. So if you click on that, this is actually made for designers or people that just want to share it, to take the actual HTML code, and you can see it's already like filled out. You could copy and paste this whole thing into your HTML, and it's going to work pretty good. You can switch some of these attributes, but for this case, I'm just going to use the source just to show the embed tag. You can look at what iframe is as well and just research that. But I'm just going to take the source tag. So you can see the source here is actually different than the source of, if you shared it on social media. So if I take this source right here, starting with HTTP, and I go all the way to the end of these quotes right here, I'm just going to take and copy that source. So I'm going to take this, hit Control C to copy just that source. And then I'm just going to get out of here and go back to Repl. And now in the source that I have for embed, I'm just going to paste that in here. So this should work. If I go ahead and check it out, right? So now I have my header, I got all my pictures, and you can see here photos and videos. Here are some pictures and videos of one of my favorite TV series, and there it is. So I can click on it and I can start watching it embedded into my website, which is kind of cool. Notice too that the styling of this is already set, so this looks kind of boxy. It doesn't, the width and the height look kind of funny. So I might go back into Repl and switch that. See if we can look at your styling, see if there's an embed tag here that's already preset, and there is. If you look at embed, it already is styling the embed tag to, it's like a width and a specific height. So you can mess around with this, but let's just say these two slashes will just comment out the width and the height things right there. So let's just see if I take that and I rerun it. Ooh, actually that does not look good. It made it look worse. It looks small by default. So mess around with it. I might actually just take this and say width, let's just make it bigger, like 600 pixels, and let's see what that does. And it still is cutting it off, so it looks like I'm gonna have to put a height there. Okay, so maybe there was a reason for that. And so, I mean, you can mess around with those attributes to make it look how you want. And let's just see if I can get this a little bit better. Okay, so that looks a little bit bigger than what was before. But again, if you're not satisfied with how something is precisely looking, you're going to have to look at the style and the CSS of that. And of course, that's what we're going to be learning after HTML. So, all right, so the next thing I want to show is let's put in an audio tag. So if I want to actually embed or put in an audio clip of some sort, I can use the audio tag in HTML. And it looks like that. So we can start and close it. If you want to put controls onto the audio, you can simply make an attribute in that opening tag to say controls. And then all you really need is a source. So I can do source, and I just have to link to some audio. That could be like an MP3 or a MIDI file or a WAV file. And so again, I'm just going to search the internet for one of these just to see if I can get it. So I'm just going to search and say The Office, not cast, but let's say The Office MP3. And I think I must have already went here. This looks like a good one. OfficeTally.com. So if you're doing a different do a different TV show or what have you, just maybe search your TV show or series and type in MP3 and just be careful. So I'm going to click on this and all right, so the Office ringtone theme song. I'm just going to grab one of these. You can see that there's different sound files. A WAV file is sound, and that's an uncompressed sound, so it's going to be larger. There's an MP3, which is pretty standard. That's a compressed sound. I'm just going to use the MP3 here. And so this, when I'm hovering over this, you can see like down here, when I hover over that, this source is actually an MP3 file. If I click on this, it actually goes to a .mp3 file here. And so I'm just going to take this source. I'm just going to take that right there. And again, just for show, if you were, publishing an actual website and you were using some content, you would want to make sure that stuff that you're grabbing is okay to put on there. You don't want to grab someone else's content that's that can't be used, or like stealing someone else's stuff and then not give them credit or not ask them or ask permission. But just to show how this works, let's go back to our REPL. And so if I want to throw in an MP3 source there, I'm just going to put in this actual link to a source file, and so that should do it. That's just going to embed in our page a audio file that we can just click. You can see how it works. If I go here and refresh my page, then down on the bottom here, we actually just have an embedded audio file directly sourced to some MP3 file So if I click on this, you know, it's going to start playing immediately like it's in your website, which is also kind of cool. So that's the audio tag. And what else we got here that we want to put in? All right, so I mean, feel free to put in more chunks of content here, either more, you know, another video, or you can throw in some pictures in there with the image tag, or use a figure. But this little mini kind of walkthrough is just to use some of the stuff that we've learned and to talk about semantic HTML. And sometimes that can be confusing with all this stuff right here. Semantics are really just used to chunk together content and to make more meaning of your website and to structure it a little bit better. It also has advantages for SEO, for search engine optimization. So when like you Google it, or Google, you search in Google, having that HTML structured is easy for Google to index and to organize your content and to list the websites that people are looking for easier. It's good for accessibility, for screen readers and all that kind of stuff, and it just kind of makes sense. It's a little bit easier to understand these things right here than just putting a div there, although divs are not necessarily a bad thing at all. So, all right, so let's go back here. Let's finish this up, and we're going to end this section. So this is media, and let's say this is the end. This is the end of our main content right here. So I'm going to get rid of that. After main, we can put a footer. So if I go ahead and put the footer tag, I'm going to ID this as about, just so that I can use it in my links and for later. And then let me end the footer, and inside the footer we can just put in whatever we want. So I'm just going to put in a couple paragraphs here. So I'm going to say, let's see, so I'll put in here, website created by Mr. K. Maybe make another paragraph, and I'll just put in some information there, like contact information, Mr. K at mrk.com. Maybe don't put in your actual email address there. And then let's just say that's all we have. So let's put it, we're going to end the footer. That's going to be on the bottom of our page. And that really pretty much does it. Okay. Oh, I already had a footer here. Let me get rid of that. Okay, so that's what I want you to do. I want you to go through here, use those semantic tags to use and create, you know, a header, a main. And inside of there, use sections and articles. I'm going to put a video in Canvas to, again, thinking about when to use a section and an article, because sometimes that is kind of confusing. And trying this figure out, we did that. We made a media section. We looked at how to embed stuff, use an audio tag. We didn't put a video tag in there because we do actually need a video source from there. You can't just grab that from like YouTube or something like that. And then we used a footer as well here. So if we look at our website, now we have something that might not look perfectly spaced out, but you get the idea. We have this, we have a navigation bar, and we have our kind of our main section. Then we have a photos and video section, and then we have a footer on the bottom. One more thing to do here that with these IDs, you can see we had a footer that's ID'd as about, and then we have media, and then we made a section for home. Up here in the links, these links, we can actually link to those subsections in our site. If we just do something like for home, if we do hashtag and then just type in the ID there, home, you'll see what happens there. If we do hashtag for media, you can type in media, the exact ID that I used, and then here we'll use about. That'll actually link down to, it doesn't actually go to a different HTML website, it just goes to a specific location in the current HTML. So if I go back here, these will actually link. So if I go to home, I click on it, it actually goes to the little home section that I made an ID of home. If I click on media, it'll jump down to the photos and videos. And if I click on about, it's pretty much the same location because I don't have that much content on this website, but it goes down to the footer section as best as it can. So now these links actually work, and they're just going to different sections on the website. But that's all I want you to do. I want you to create, give me your favorite TV series or favorite movie or book series or anything like that, and try to use these semantic elements and other HTML tags that we've used to create something here for me. All right, that's it.